All right, I'm waiting for Steve and Paige to wake up. Here, let me switch this camera on. They're in there. I don't know if you can see it. We're at a brewery right now that's part of this Harvest Host app. You sign up for it in all these destinations all over the place. You can just stay there, which is pretty handy. And they're usually like this is a brewery, so a lot of these places there's like live entertainment and stuff like that. I've barely used this is the first time I've used it. Steve uses it all the time. T-Bar's back there sleeping. The one of the things I wanted to take a second to talk about, and I'm wondering what other people do about this and what their experience is. This is easily the scariest part of this van life stuff for me. So the setup though is, I gotta tell you a story though, and then this is why it makes it just a little extra for me. Long time ago, I don't know if I should date myself. It was like 20 some years. It was a long time ago. I was dating this girl, and she lived 3 hours away. Long distance relationship at the time. And we were talking on, you guys remember AOL Instant Messenger? That's how long ago it was. So we were talking on AOL Instant Messenger, and back then that's the technology we used to. I don't even think texting was a thing at the time. Anyway. So, at the time, I worked in a metal foundry. I had worked there for many years, and she was a school teacher. And I worked third shift at this metal foundry, and I get home in the morning, and it's a Friday morning. And obviously, it's her last day of school for the week, and we're talking, and the plan that weekend was that I was supposed to go up there to where she lives and stay for the weekend. So we're talking about that, and I think to myself, man, I got to make this trip, and I'm not that tired right now. Like I feel pretty good. I was talking to her, I'm wide awake. You can see where this is going, right? And I decide I'm just see you when she says I'll leave the door unlocked if you want to come now. And then I'll just see you when I get home, and you can sleep there while she's working. So I take off, and I'm about 20 minutes into the drive, and all of a sudden just hit me. I was like, whew, eyes are blinking. It's like, man, I'm starting to yawn a little bit, doing that little thing. And I remember saying to myself, at the time I loved Coca-Cola. I don't drink pop anymore. I try not to. I drink it in energy drinks. I know it's the same thing, not to detract from the story, but I don't drink pop anymore. But at the time, I'm like, mental note, next exit, I'm going to grab a Coke, get some caffeine in me. That's the last thing I remember. And then I was on the highway. I had the cruise control on 80, and I hit the back of a semi. So back then, I don't know if they do this anymore anyplace, but for semis, they had a max speed of 55 miles an hour. Everyone else, pretty normal for people to go 10 over, and I had mine set at 80. It was 70 miles an hour was speed limit, and the sucky part of this too, I just put a brand new engine in this. I had a Grand Prix. You guys remember those Grand Prix? Pontiac? Sure, well, a lot of people either had a Grand Am or a Grand Prix at some point in their life. But I had this really sharp Grand Prix. It was the GXP. Just remember, I love that car. But yeah, I drove right into the back of one of the rear tires of the semi. And I gave him a flat, and they had to call some service thing out. And what woke me up was the airbag punching me right in the face. So yeah, the airbag woke me up. I pull over. I end up getting a ticket for it. I think that might have been one of the last tickets I ever got, but I don't remember. Anyway, so I got a ticket for it, well deserved, and because that was my fault, irresponsible of me to do that. But I noticed like a trend happening for me, and that whenever I am in a situation where you take like in a nutshell, I was gonna say like low sensory, but like, let's say if I was in a doctor's office waiting to be seen and it's boring. Anytime I'm bored, so it finally got bad enough for like a lot of road trips that she like nudged me to go see like a specialist. So they did the overnight study and found out I had some sleeping thing going on. I don't remember at the time what they gave me. I just remember whatever the hell that was. I don't know if they had Adderall back then. No idea. I quit taking it at some point. But if I took it too late in the day, I could not sleep at all. It was awful. But and I can't say that I know that it helped like a lot with the driving thing. I think it was still kind of a sucky thing for me to deal with, like if something was boring. But yeah, if I'm driving any amount of time, it's hard for me to stay awake, and I haven't had a hard time with it with this so far, and there's a reason for that, and that's this thing sits up so high, and it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence when you're on the road, which is another thing. And any kind of wind hits this thing and you're all over the road. So I'm not even trying to explain it, but you are literally white knuckle driving this thing. And I don't know if some people, their experiences are different. This is just my experience I've had where I at no time while I'm driving this thing am I like comfortable and like kind of like checked out a little bit, just on cruise control. I actually rarely use cruise control on this thing because I want that level of control when I'm driving. I don't feel confidence inspired to use the cruise control. If there's any bad weather out, this thing, I don't know if it's the tires, the suspension, any wind, any imperfections in the road, it just feels like it moves me all over the place, and it's not a good feeling. So Steve told me, so he's got a Storyteller, and that's a ridiculously expensive machine and everything, and he said even in that he was experiencing the same thing. Any kind of wind hits him, and he said there was one story he had where he was at 3 o'clock just from winds trying to keep that thing on the road, because his sits up even taller than mine. That thing's super tall. So he actually had, I don't know about the tires. I think that thing comes with all-terrain tires on it. This doesn't. His is for like going up in the Grand Canyon and staying there for like 2 weeks. This is like, I'm gonna stay in a trailer park. This is like a tiny home on wheels. This is more for a lot of people. He has a very niche machine over there. And even that, I want to say that thing's like 280 grand or something insane. And he still put a $6,000 suspension kit on that thing. And he did say, when he put that on there, that it solved all of his problems. Which is a little defeating, because it's like, man, I don't want to have to buy some sort of like upgraded. This thing's new. It should just work. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It definitely feels, I'll say this, it feels dangerous to drive this thing when you're on the road. Can you guys hear that thunder? Man, it is coming. I'm not sure how much of a distraction that is in the video. Hopefully it's not too loud. I'll have to check. But yeah, this there feels like a very prevalent level of danger when you're driving this thing. And a lot of it has to do with the wind, and the other thing has to do with the cornering. So because of the wheelbase and how high it sits, when you hit a corner, it just feels like, man, this thing could tip over. So, and obviously I don't want to tip over. I've been trying to like retrain my brain to just enjoy the ride. But the thing that's difficult is, like this Texas trip, getting there, there was like a sense of urgency to get there. We were on a time crunch. So, you know, I was driving. One day I was on the road for 16 hours. And, you know, that wears on you a little bit. I felt really good to get the day over. The sleep thing has not been an issue in this. And I think mostly is because I am white knuckle driving this thing the whole time. Let me know if you guys, what your experiences are with this stuff. If you made any changes to your vehicle, just let me know. I welcome any advice for this. One of the things, lots of caffeine. I bought Vivarin. I haven't used that in a long time. It probably wouldn't hurt if I got some sort of sleep study done again. Right now it's a non-issue, but I don't ever want it to be one. Anyway, that's hands down the scariest part of doing this for me, is the driving. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.